Hi, my name is Raphael Siket and I'm an Australian qualified building biologist here in Victoria in Australia. I have a business where we go into homes and workplaces looking for environmental triggers to illness, which is what building biologists do. So in other words, if something is causing adverse health effects, or people believe that the workplace or home in which they're living or working is making them ill or contributing to adverse health effects, we go in and we investigate. Now, a lot of the time it is an investigation, and there's an enormous amount of complexities involved in trying to figure out what around you could be causing any issues. So we study electromagnetic field testing, so we look at power lines, mobile phone base stations, basically any electromagnetic fields that may be an issue in the environment. We also study air pollution and air quality testing, a large part of which involves mold because it is so often a problem with buildings here in Australia. But there are many other aspects of air quality that we look at as well. There's carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, not enough ventilation, and countless others. We also look at water quality and see if that can be an issue. And a big part of what we do is specifying materials and finishes and furniture and helping in the design and the fitting out mainly of a new building and renovations, because this is where a big chemical load can come into the property and where more and more people are becoming chemically sensitive. So we look at that too. So it's quite complex when people say, I think where I'm working or living is making me sick and I'm reacting there. Can you come in and just figure out what's going on? I love it. I've been doing it a long time, graduated in 2006 odd, and started practicing straight away. And I've grown the business to a team of 5 or 6 building biologists, where we're up in New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria based and doing work. The reason for mentioning is because now we're filming in 2021. It's been 15, 16 odd years, but I insist on seeing every report and going through every job. That has given me a vast amount of experience as to what's actually happening out there in reality in people's homes and people's workplaces. You can read the textbooks, you can Google everywhere, but until you're actually doing it and experiencing it and seeing every single home and every single workplace that you visit, what's going on, why is it happening, what did we change, what worked, what didn't work, that to me is where the real gold is. And that's what I'm going to try and give you as much information on as possible. What I have found are the main issues here in Australia. So what we're doing here is we're doing a special project where we've taken a home and we have stripped it. It is a 15-year-old home. It is a volume built home, and we want to see what does a volume built home look like after 15 years. Very interesting to see how this happened. So basically this was the same amount that I've been practicing, same amount of time, from 2006. As this property basically got completed, I started studying. Now this was my own personal home. So I lived in this home. I experienced all of the issues with this volume built home over these 15 years, where aesthetically when you walk inside, like in a display home, you look around and go, this is a beautiful place. How fantastic, and shell over enormous amounts of money. And over the years, when you strip it back and when you live in it, you see how the building is actually built and where the downfalls are. So what we've done is strip this building out, taking the ceiling down, taking the roof off, pulling out all the insulation in the roof. There is no insulation in the walls, so pulling down all the plasterboard walls on the perimeter and on the inside of the house that are facing the outside, basically, not very internal plaster, but all that plasterboard walls so we can get insulation in. Looking at the wiring and the cabling, looking at how wet areas held up, stripping out all the bathrooms, the showers, coming out completely, as well as the vanities and basins and so on, stripping up all the floors, taking moisture readings, decks. We're looking at a lot of things, and we're going to film it all. And we've taken footage, a mixture of photographs and footage, and seen what has happened over the 15 years. How has it held up? Where are all the issues? And what we're going to do, which is very rare, and I'm not sure whether it's even been done in Australia before, but we're going to retrofit this 15-year-old volume built home to a passive house home. So it's not going to be perfect. Obviously, you can't do that unless you pull the whole place down. But we're going to see how can we fix this home as best we can to make it as comfortable as we can, as healthy as we can. And where are all the shortcomings and where have we put the money? And what can we do and what can't we do? And see what results have come from that. I'm hoping that in doing this, you will get a lot of knowledge in terms of if you're building your own volume built home, to keep an eye on it and to specify certain things. If you're not doing a volume built home, just have a boutique builder or another builder and say, this is how I'd like the roof done. And you look at that footage, you can get that footage, or whatever other part of the home you want to do. This is for residential homes, to see how we can build better homes. I am so tired of the years, of these 15, 16 years, seeing the same problems come up over and over again, making children sick, making families ill, and going to doctors and trying to get diagnosed and basically just getting a bunch of tablets and so on, when the environment is causing the issues. So as building biologists, we work very closely with integrative doctors, as well as many other health practitioners who consider the environment as a potential issue and who don't want to start treatment and giving pills or supplements of any kind until we know that where they're living and where they're working is not contributing to their ill health. Once we fix that up, then the supplements, as well as all of the treatments, can take you to the next level. Instead of just keeping you at the same level and trying to stop you from deteriorating quickly in your health, this can actually stop it in its tracks. Then your health practitioner can then restore you and take you to the next level of health. Whereas if you're living in an environment that's constantly an issue, that can never occur. So we're very proud of working with health practitioners. We are not health practitioners. The easiest way to describe what a building biologist does is that when you do go to a health practitioner, you go in there and say, I'm feeling ill. Can you please tell me what's wrong with me? Your health practitioner will ask a lot of questions. They will examine you and they will try and diagnose what the problem might be. And if needed, they will run a number of specialized tests. We do exactly the same thing, but of the building. We are here to diagnose buildings, not people. And we're here to hand over a lot of information to your health practitioner to help better treat you and get to the source of the problem and treat you in the right way. So we ask a lot of questions about your adverse health effects. We have to study adverse health effects and what causes those adverse health effects. And so by asking those questions, we can see what may be the environmental triggers that are there. So we study a lot and get a lot of information on adverse health effects caused by environmental triggers. Once we've got a bit of a history in terms of health effects, we then ask a lot of questions about the building. The history of the building, the history of your past exposures, where have you come from in different buildings, then the history of this building, what happens when it rains, what have you experienced, do you feel better or worse at different times. Take a big history of that. Then we visually inspect everything from the outside, we visually inspect everything from the inside. We take a number of readings, moisture readings, or if it's electromagnetic fields and so on. So we study what is going on, and we study how to test a number of different parameters, and more accurately, how to decide what to test and to look at more closely, in a hope that we can find out what's going on, why people are reacting, and create a building where you live that actually enhances your well-being, as opposed to causing adverse health effects and making you uncomfortable and putting on heaters and cooling systems that pollute the air and give you massive energy bills and gas bills, and you actually are not entirely comfortable. You just have hot air or cold air blowing around all over the place. So how can we do things better? This is what I'm hoping to convey to you. And I've gone into this industry because I'm so passionate about it. There are people that were close to me that have passed away and got very ill, that I strongly believe the environment in which they lived or worked was a massive contributor to the issues. It's seldom 100%. Things are always a complex cocktail or soup, if you will, of issues that cause the adverse health effects and debilitating health conditions. But in saying that, I believe the environment is a big contributor in many of the cases. And that's why I'm so passionate about this industry and being a building biologist. So I'm going to take you, hopefully, on a little bit of a journey through the stripping out of this building, through constantly giving you aspects of my experience where I've drawn from case studies, where I've seen why people are getting ill and say, please fix this up. Please make sure this is good, because if you do not fix this up and do not build in this way or finish in this way, you'll potentially experience certain adverse health effects, which can affect the kids, which affects the future generations, and so on. So let's see what you get from this. I hope you get a lot from it, and we will put as much information as we possibly can on every aspect of it so that you're just more empowered.